Fox Sports.
We are Black Horse. We are South.
Our April in the ATL celebration continues in the Back Bay of Boston. It's 30 games in 30 days between the Braves and the Atlanta Hawks. Tonight we join you from historic Fenway Park, where this Braves-Red Sox series shifts from Turner Field to baseball's oldest and baseball's smallest ballpark. Historic Fenway Park opened up in 1912, and boy is she a beauty. It's a gorgeous night for baseball. The Green Monster is in full bloom, and hopefully the Braves will hit a few over the Monster in Game 3 of this 4-game series tonight. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome to Fenway Park. If ever there was a time you put away the records, the struggles of a ball club, this is the day, because when you get to come to Fenway Park, you truly do see a baseball treat. This is a majestic place. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Well said, Chip. It's my favorite ballpark in baseball, one of my favorite cities to come to. And you're right, so maybe the Braves' fortunes can turn around in this historic ballpark and have a little better luck. I enjoyed watching a couple of young pitchers today in uniform, Matt Whistler and Aaron Blair, walking around before the gates open with their cameras, taking pictures. They'd already been up on the Green Monster, taking selfies. This is a special place, young and old, when you come to Fenway Park.
Luckily, nobody took pictures with Wally the Green Monster. That was off limits for the Braves here at Fenway Park. It's a beautiful night for baseball. Daniel Castro and the Bravos are ready to take on David Ortiz and the Boston Red Sox. It's Game 3 of the set, and we'll get to lineups and our first pitch in just a few minutes.
Atlanta Braves baseball is sponsored by Chevrolet.
Welcome back, guys. It is a beautiful night for baseball here at Fenway Park. We've made it to Boston. Game 3 of the Red Sox versus the Braves. And I've been preaching this name since he came up here. Daniel Castro, you guys. he has been incredible for the Braves, not only because he's playing well at the plate, but he's playing very sound defensively, and that brings us to our Synovus. Greatness made here. Look at that, guys. He is airless right now, and he's playing really anywhere on the infield, and we talked to Freddie Gonzalez about exactly what kind of player he gets from Castro.
He's a valuable asset to our team. Today he's playing third because we feel that Kelly is a better second baseman, and you put him on the left side of the diamond here, and he's fine. He could play shortstop. We've seen that, he's earned a right to play. We stuck him in there, and every time we put him in there, he had 2 hits. So in this game, you hit, you play, or you produce, you play, and he's been able to do that and also help us defensively.
So Daniel will be playing third tonight, batting into 2-hole, and the series has been shipped up to Boston. Guys, it's a beautiful night for some baseball, and we have lineups and first pitch coming your way right after the break.
Baseball is sponsored by Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Well, we got quite a shock to the system when we landed in the wee hours of the morning here in Boston today. We got off our Delta charter and found out the weather was 37 degrees.
Yeah, that was a little nippy.
Yeah. Be a chilly night tonight at Fenway Park with the wind blowing straight out as the Braves play the Red Sox in Game 3 of our series. Here's how Freddie lines them up. The DH is in play, and Adonis Garcia will be the Braves' designated hitter. You heard Freddie explaining that Daniel Castro will play third base because of his good defense and the fact that he likes Kelly Johnson better at second base. And another challenge for Atlanta is they're facing a pitcher they haven't seen his like of, and that's a knuckleballer, Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright is no kid. He's 31 years old, originally in the Cleveland organization. 6'2", 215 out of Torrance, California. He's in his second year in the big leagues despite the age of 31. Originally a second-round pick back in '06. So we thought we'd show you his pitch arsenal, and it really is pretty much 3/4 one pitch. 75% of his pitches are knuckleballs. He's got a fastball and a curveball that he works in too, but his fastball is somewhere in the low to mid 80s. Hence the need to go to a knuckleball, but he's pitched really well. His record is 1-2 with a 1.4 ERA. He's allowed 2 earned runs or less in each of his last 7 starts dating back to last year. And this year, he has not allowed an earned run after the first inning. So he's been mighty tough, especially after the first inning of his starts.
Red Sox are back home where they have a 4-6 record here at Fenway Park. Holt, Bradley, and Betts in the outfield. Handy Ramirez, Pedroia, Bogarts, and Shaw around the horn. And Ryan Hannigan is the man behind the plate. Red Sox have closed to within a half game of the Orioles in the American League East. The Red Sox at 11-9 winners of their last 3. Nick Markakis ready to go for the Braves. And first pitch is a called strike. Joe Bob Uecker taught us all very well how to catch a knuckleball. Yeah, he said you just go to the backstop and pick it up. How in the world do you hit a knuckleball is the question.
Ryan Hannigan just showed you he can't catch it every time either. So that was good timing on your part. Essentially, you just got to look for the fastball like you would any other at bat, and adjust. Try to stay back.
To third. Shaw will load up, and he gets Markakis for the first out.
And just try not to overpower it. Don't overswing. Hit it right back at him.
One down for Daniel Castro, who's hit safely in 7 of 9 games. What looks for his first hit of this series with the Red Sox. Of course, Braves fans know all about Phil Niekro and his marvelous career with the knuckleball. The Red Sox had a pretty good knuckleball pitcher too by the name of Tim Wakefield, who was in uniform before the game. I would imagine that he and Stephen Wright have been talking as well. Wright was not a knuckleball pitcher. He was converted a few years ago.
Yes, and by comparison, I asked about the difference between Wright and Wakefield, and I'm told that Wakefield's knuckleball was harder, faster.
Popped out of Hannigan's glove. And we'll do it again. Still nothing in 2.
Same umpiring crews we had down in Atlanta, so those guys had to make the quick trip up here as well. Kerwin Danley behind the plate. He's a good one.
Another 0-2 pitch. And in the air towards center. Bradley on the run. Diving try. He got it. He turned on the afterburners. I didn't think he had a chance to get there.
I thought for sure that was going to drop in. Daniel Castro hit the ball hard 3 times last night, had nothing to show for it. And now he gets robbed of a base hit. Nice catch.
This Red Sox team is young. They are athletic. On a roll at the moment as Adonis Garcia bats with a .306 average. That one caught a corner. 2-2.
Like a lot of knuckleballers, he's walked a few guys. He's walked 8 in 19 1/3 innings coming into play tonight, but he's also fanned 17.
And make it 18 as Garcia swings and misses. And it's a 1-2-3 first inning for Stephen Wright. Bud Norris to the mound. By Stephen Wright, needed 13 pitches, 11 strikes to get the first 3 Atlanta hitters. Bud Norris goes to work, and Bud could use some good luck tonight.
Yeah, he could. These are some rough numbers. He went 7 innings in his first start, but since then it's been a real battle. 7 walks, 13 strikeouts over that stretch in 14 1/3 innings. 1-3 on the year with a 6.75 ERA. That leads us to our Ford Keys tonight. And number 1, 6.75 ERA, cut it to 3 tonight. Give up 3 earned runs. You got a shot to win tonight against this knuckleballer. And number 2, runs in the first and second inning have really dampened the offense when Bud's pitched. He's given up 10 runs in the first or second inning.
And that's a bad matchup because the Red Sox score a ton of first inning runs.
Right.
And their offense is paced by Mookie Betts, who leads things off. And he swings the first pitch and drives it a mile high toward left center field. Drew Stubbs drifts back. Wind pushes it to the warning track. And Drew gets there for the first out. Boston has scored a first inning run in 6 of their last 7 games. They've scored 26 first inning runs this year,
including 4 last night.
Dustin Pedroia is the Boston second baseman. When you come to Boston, you see all the fans around town with the jerseys with the team players' names on the back. You think they misspelled it because his name's pronounced Pedroia.
Yes, that's correct.
This guy is some kind of player and has been for a long time. A lot of fun to watch. Makes all the plays at second. A little spark plug, fiery guy. And all he cares about is beating you. No balls, 2 strikes from Norris. And that's a little low.
Bud's come out throwing hard. Fastball 93, 94.
He's had good luck here at Fenway Park, hasn't he?
His ERA's been good, yes. His last 3 starts overall against Boston, a 1.33 ERA.
Yeah, I need to qualify that statement. Yeah, he's 0-3, but he's pitched well, is a better way of putting it, against the Red Sox. 2-2 your count. Base is empty for Dustin Pedroia. Missed outside.
Well, the Braves need Bud to be a stopper tonight after finishing up the homestand with a 7-game losing streak.
Up the middle, a base hit for Pedroia.
The story in the Boston Globe today about Dustin Pedroia, and some of the critics are saying, you know, his abilities are beginning to diminish a little bit, and that he's hitting too many ground balls. That 60% of the balls he's putting in play are ground balls. And he said something to the effect of, well, that guy's got nothing better to do, huh, than count ground balls.
Right.
He said, I think I'm playing okay, and I don't feel like my abilities are waning.
It's probably the same guy that counts all the dents in the Green Monster.
Might be.
To catalog all those. I guarantee you there are 29 other teams that would love to have Dustin Pedroia. Too many ground balls, please. Here's Bogaerts. And he takes a strike. Bogaerts 4 hits in the series. Last night, Boston scored early. They scored late. And in the middle, David Price was absolutely brilliant. A career high tying 14 strikeout game.
Red Sox lead the American League in runs scored per game, 5.1. As you said, Chip, a lot of it early in the game.
And they're doing it with small ball too, somewhat surprisingly.
Yeah, they're last in the American League in homers, which is a shocker. But first in average runs per game and doubles.
Big year for John Farrell. It's a big year for the Red Sox, who finished last 3 out of the last 4 seasons. They signed David Price. They brought in Craig Kimbrell. Dave Dombrowski now is in charge of the baseball operation. And they're starting to hit stride here in the latter stages of April.
Last in the league in homers with 15. 15 sounds like an awful lot from where I sit.
Yeah, it certainly does. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a chopper toward third. Castro to second for 1. And on to first is not in time. Bogaerts beats the wrap. Pedroia is forced out. And David Ortiz will bat with a man aboard here in the first.
Tell you what, Kelly Johnson made that close. It was a high bouncer. Castro gave him a good feed. Kelly, excellent turn. But with this guy running, chance to get him.
Here's David Ortiz. Just 1 at bat in Atlanta because of the lack of the DH. Ortiz has hit a couple of home runs head to head against Bud Norris. He's right on top of the plate. Downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes.
Showed bunt. I don't know if he was serious about it or not, but he was, with 2 outs, at least going to let Atlanta know he was noticing the shift and might put 1 down. And with 2 outs, I don't think they'd mind that at all.
No. That's low, ball 2. Rocketed down the right field line. That's headed for the corner. Bogart's around second, on his way to third. They're going to send him. David Ortiz has doubled home a run for the Red Sox in the first inning. It's 1-0 Boston. So what we hoped wouldn't happen has. Norris's first inning troubles continue, and Boston's first inning bounty continues.
Crowding the plate, covering the outside third. He raked it into the corner. This right field corner at Fenway Park has been treacherous since 1912 for right fielders because of the way it wraps around. You can see Nick Markakis going to a point where the ball eventually will come to, but you cannot be aggressive chasing the ball into the corner, or you're going to chase it all the way around to the bullpens.
So it's an easy double for David Ortiz. Boston leads 1-0, and Hanley Ramirez is the batter. Ramirez 8 for 17 against Bud Norris. And going away, ball one. In the air to shallow center. That's going to get down. Here comes Big Poppy. He's going to score. Hanley Ramirez with a 2-out single.
Down and in, he fought it off and just dumped it in. I was talking to Nick Markakis before the game about this ballpark. Sure, there's the close proximity of the left field wall, but there's a lot of room to cover from left center around to the right field foul pole, and a lot of room for hits.
And as we told you, Boston tonight doing what they've done all year. Here's Shaw. Travis Shaw touched one off in Atlanta yesterday. He's knocked in 14 runs already this season. And into the club level seats, out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike for Shaw.
That makes 12 of the 19 total runs allowed by Bud Norris that he's given up in the first or second inning. With still the second inning to go, and this one not over. 12 of 19, and that just puts your offense behind such an 8-ball.
An offense that's struggled so mightily already.
Yes.
1-1 pitch. A little bit low. Ball 2.
I enjoyed reading Travis Shaw's comments about his game yesterday and that long home run he hit at Turner Field. And he said he noticed that pitchers were really trying to work him inside. So he spent his whole afternoon in the cage working on inside pitches.
Runner goes and beats the wrap. Hanley Ramirez throws a surprise party. And this is another facet of the Red Sox offense that's different from years past. They have been a running bunch. Red Sox already have 20 stolen bases.
That's his third, and they are 20 out of 22. But for Travis Shaw to realize that pitchers, especially with the Braves, trying to work him in, he was ready last night for that and turned on a ball and hit it over 400 feet.
And he'll take a free pass. That'll bring up Brock Holt. So far, the Braves have kept Holt quiet at the plate in the series. He's 1 for 8, but hitting .268 overall this year. He's reached base in every game he's played for Boston. Norris looks in at Kerwin Danley in disbelief that that wasn't called a strike. That one was 1-1. Outside corner, good pitch. Two balls, two strikes. Long first inning for Bud Norris. Broken bat. Freeman at first. Bud to the bag, and that will retire the side. Boston scores a couple of runs. They do that on 3 hits, and after one, the Red Sox lead by 2.
Is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Back in Boston, Red Sox 2, Braves nothing as we move to the second inning. The Braves have decided to use metrics a little more frequently, and with that in mind, Freddie Gonzalez chatted with Noah Woodward about the lineup tonight, and these are some of the men in uniform who've had good luck against knuckleball pitchers.
Well, and it explains why Francoeur and Stubbs are in there, I think, because they've had some experience hitting against a knuckleballer. We'll see if it pays off tonight.
Freddie Freeman leads off the second. Strike one. Right through 13 pitches in the first inning, 11 strikes. And right away, he's got Freddie in an 0-2 count. High fly toward left. Holt going back. He's going to turn. That's going to hit high off the monster. Holt bobbles the ball. And Freddie Freeman is in at second base with a leadoff double.
I noticed Freddie hitting a lot of balls that way tonight during batting practice. I'm assuming by design, but he got a high knuckleball there. And this is a nice play by Brock Holt. He had it played perfectly off the wall, but dropped it. Otherwise, he might have had a play on Freeman. Extra base hits have been hard to come by for the Braves, so a good one to start an inning.
Last 73 hits, 9 extra base hits, including Freddie's double here in the second. Here's Jeff Francoeur. Good series so far for Jeff, who enters play tonight hitting .324. Got a piece of Hannigan behind the plate. 1-1 your count. Is it tough to guard against trying to hit the ball over the green monster in this place?
It is. It is. You can fall into a trap right away if that's all you're thinking about.
That's fouled at the plate again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Braves have not hit a home run in their last 15 games. Mark Bowman on MLB.com had the line of the year. To put that in perspective, the last time the Braves hit a home run, Jordan Spieth led the Masters.
Oh, gosh.
Jeff didn't get it. Swing and a miss. He's down on strikes. Wright has 2 of those. 1 man down. And here's AJ, who continues his quest for hit number 2,000 tonight.
Boy, there was 0 spin on that ball. On the strikeout pitch, just kind of floated up there.
Strike 1. AJ began the year in 2014 with the Red Sox, hit .254, then was traded to St. Louis. Last year, of course, played with the Braves and hit .300. And a shot to left, a base hit. Brock Holt gets to it quickly. Freeman will be stopped at third. And AJ Pierzynski finally gets his 2,000th big league hit. And he raises his hands skyward. 10th among catchers, AJ Pierzynski with number 2,000.
He was trying real hard to get that at home in front of the home team and the fans and his family. Didn't happen, but hey, Fenway Park's not a bad place to collect it either. Congratulations to AJ.
So now he can set his sights on Johnny Bench on the all-time hit list for a catcher. And the Braves have a threat here in the second. First and third for Kelly Johnson. Strike 1.
Boy, Hannigan barely held on to that one. He's bouncing around back there, trying to act like an infielder, stay loose.
Out of play left side. It's 0-2. Line drive, base hit left field for Kelly. That's going to score Freddie Freeman, and the Braves are on the board. 3 hits in the second inning, and that is news. Wright doesn't give up runs after the first. He's given up 1 here, and the Braves are right back in the game.
Another one that stayed upstairs, and the second one hit to the opposite field by the left-handed hitter.
Well, let's keep the line moving, as Freddie Gonzalez says. Eric Ibar, the batter. And a strike. That one got away from Hannigan, and the runners move up.
Both teams arriving in the wee hours of the morning. It's not unusual for a team to send their pitcher ahead on such a night of travel, which the Red Sox did with Wright. They probably should have sent Hannigan with him to get his rest. He's going to need it.
A passed ball sets it up for Ibar, who's a lifetime .320 hitter in this ballpark.
And he's the only guy in the lineup that has got some experience with Wright, going 3 for 6, so that should help him a little bit.
Two and two.
Infield back and just one out. If he can just somehow put the ball in play on the ground, he can get the tying run in.
That'll reach the seats.
It's just so hard, Chip. You think about some of the guys the Braves faced in the homestand, and last night having to deal with David Price. You start this game and your first at bat, and you're still not really expecting the ball to come in that slowly, and you're still trying to fight hard not to jump out there on your front foot. They've been around 74, 75 miles an hour. He's thrown a couple of fastballs to start the first and second inning that were both 83.
Full count pitch. And a strikeout. Ibar can't make contact. Wright has his third strikeout. And now there are 2 outs in the inning for Drew Stubbs. One ball, no strikes.
Drew had a walk and 2 singles his last 3 at bats last night.
I don't know if Hannigan's catching the ball or if the ball's catching him.
I was just looking at his glove. It is a catcher's glove, but looks a little bit more like a first baseman's glove in that it's hinged down near the heel of his hand.
Braves have a run on 3 hits here in the second inning. Freddie Freeman with a double. A.J. Brzezinski with hit number 2,000. And then Keller Johnson an RBI single. And now Stubbs pops one up right side. Hanley Ramirez drifts out. Pedroia makes the catch. And that will retire the side. History tonight for the Braves. A.J. Brzezinski picks up his 2,000th career hit, 10th most among Major League catchers. An opposite field single, and the Braves have cut into the Boston lead. Now as the Red Sox come a-calling here in the second inning. Big night for A.J. Pierzynski. His 2000th major league hit. Now his catching counterpart Ryan Hanigan strides to the batter's box. He'll be the first man up in the Boston second. Jackie Bradley, then Mookie Betts.
2,000 hits. I mean, people talk about if you get to 3,000 hits, you're just about automatically destined for Cooperstown because of how hard that is. But 2,000 hits for a catcher over 19 years in the big leagues, man, oh man, is that quite an accomplishment.
Morris turns it loose and delivers a strike. It's 0-1.
Apparently it was a knuckleball.
A throwback to the mound certainly was.
Yeah.
Ripped back our way. And foul. 0-2 for Ryan Hanigan. And he hits a rope into left center field on an 0-2 pitch.
Fastball tailing right back to him. For all the abuse he's going to take tonight behind the plate trying to catch that knuckleball, he was probably due from the baseball gods to get at least one hit.
Hanigan living out a boyhood dream. His dad Mike was an FBI agent here in Boston. Hanigan grew up in Andover, Massachusetts. Broke in with the Cincinnati Reds. He's also played in Tampa Bay. He's aboard to start the second. And Jackie Bradley's the hitter. Bradley hit a homer that accounted for the lone run for the Red Sox in the first game of the series. And AJ couldn't stop that one. And Hanigan will take second base. Wild pitch. Hanigan in scoring position now.
That was, needless to say, a little short of the target.
Down the left field line. And out of play. You played in Fenway Park during your career. Did you have a preference as to which position you played in the outfield? Did you like left, center, or right?
I didn't play left that much. I enjoyed it when I was in left. I played mostly center and right. And I can tell you without any reservations that right field is the most difficult.
2 balls and a strike.
There are very few parks, if any, where you stand in a spot in the field like in right field and you don't have any points of reference. You got no bearings as to am I too deep, am I too shallow, because it's 380 feet to straightaway right field right behind you. So I was constantly looking around to find a mark, you know, dig a hole in the grass. You know, this is where I was before. That wraparound down in the corner, again, very difficult to play.
Dangerous pitch. 3-1 the count. And Bradley walks. Second walk for Norris.
Coming into this start, Bud had walked 9 batters in 21 innings, and 4 of those had scored. The walk in the first inning did not come around. We'll see what happens here.
This is not Roger McDowell making this visit. This is Freddie Gonzalez making the visit.
I'll bet there's a little bit of fire and brimstone in this visit too. You know, tired of pussyfooting around. You know, go after somebody, challenge somebody. If they hit you, they hit you, but quit messing around. Bud Norris last year between Baltimore and San Diego, starting and relieving, went 3-11 with a 6.72 ERA. He started this year 1-3 with a 6.75 ERA. There needs to be at some point a turnaround for a guy who just 2 years ago was an instrumental part of the Orioles' drive to an American League East pennant and a postseason win over Detroit.
He's got Mookie Betts in the box and quickly got ahead. No balls and a strike. Betts flying out to center to start the game for the Red Sox. He went around. Fastball popped in at 92.
Yeah, well located.
Now let's see if he can put Betts away. The inning started with a single on an 0-2 count, then a walk to Jackie Bradley. Pitch missed low. 2-2.
That was a good pitch. I mean, he didn't get the call and should have, but again, mislocation in the way AJ had to try and spear it cost him the call.
Wind blowing toward the monster as Morris readies to make a 2-2 pitch. Bounced foul. Brian Butterfield is the Boston third base coach, and he is almost closer to home plate than he is the third base bag.
He's in harm's way. You wouldn't think so that far back, but he almost got nailed right there.
Full count. Line drive right field, base hit. Markakis charges, plays it on a big hop, and with the catcher running, they'll stop Hannigan at third base. Again, Bud's gotten to 2 strikes on a couple of hitters in this inning, hasn't been able to finish them off, and now he's got the bases loaded, nobody out.
Again, a hard fastball away. Betts had it covered. Hannigan was playing it safe to make sure that he didn't run in case the ball was caught. So he was freezing until he saw the ball get down. So the heart of their order now with the bases loaded and nobody out.
Pedroia with a hit already tonight. Bogarts follow with a high hopper to third base. The Braves tried to turn 2 on the play. Bogarts beat the wrap. That kept the inning alive for David Ortiz and Hanley Ramirez, who provided run-scoring hits. That's down the right field line near the pesky pole. That ball is off the pole. It's a grand slam for Pedroia.
The hardest hit balls he hit in Atlanta were to right field, including a double right down the right field line. This one can't be more down the right field line than to hit the pesky pole. And it hit the screen attached to it.
Bouncing ball right side. Kelly Johnson scoops and fires to first, and that takes care of Bogarts. There's out number 1.
Even before the grand slam, though, Chip, I was thinking about how the Braves, with their offensive struggles in recent games, came back and got a run off the knuckleballer to make it 2-1. And Hannigan got a base hit. Okay, tip your cap to him for the base hit. It was the walk and then the full count to Betts, you know, trying to pitch around, nibble, all that I think probably is what eventually drew Freddie Gonzalez out of the dugout, needing a shutdown inning, and that certainly didn't happen.
Well, for the second start in a row for Bud Norris, a second inning grand slam has given him a big problem. Remember, Curtis Granderson hit one for the Mets back in Atlanta. Now David Ortiz down a strike. (6-1) Red Sox.
Left-handers came into the game hitting .353 with 4 homers off Norris.
John Gant was just called up. Ryan Weber was sent to Gwinnett. Gant a fresh arm, and he's beginning to throw in the Braves bullpen in right field. Ortiz cracks one deep toward left. That one's going to be high off the wall. And Big Papi in at second. Late slide. But Ortiz has a couple of doubles. And that's going to be it for Bud Norris. Six runs, 7 hits. And John Gant will come in out of the Braves bullpen. Bud Norris's early season difficulties continued. A Pedroia grand slam here in the second, the big blow. means John Gant is into the game in the second inning for the Braves.
Those are his numbers with the Braves, but after he got optioned back to Gwinnett, he made 3 starts, got more innings in, 14 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs. He went 1-0 with a 3.68 ERA. Struck out 18 in those 14 innings and walked 7. So he's gotten some work in. Should be ready to go tonight for some long relief.
He'll face Hanley Ramirez with David Ortiz at second and 1 man out. And good cut, fouled straight back. It's 0-1. The Braves got Gant, you'll recall, when they traded Kelly Johnson and Juan Uribe to the Mets. Rob Whalen, another right-handed pitcher, also came from New York in that deal. Whalen's been pitching well in the minor leagues. Gant is with the big club now. That's headed toward the Boston dugout. A.J. Przinsky and Freddie Freeman give chase. Freeman makes the catch. And there's out number 2.
Long way to go for Freddie. Nice catch. Right up against the screen.
No screens are new here in Boston.
Yeah, after a couple of really bad accidents last year with a bat and a baseball going into the stands, they've extended that screen all the way down to their dugout.
So 2 outs for Travis Shaw. Strike 1.
You might remember Gant is the guy with the Vulcan pitch, the changeup that he places between his ring and middle fingers. Pitched well enough in spring training that he made the club out of camp.
Nothing at 2. John's a Georgia boy from Savannah. He straightened up Shaw inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's throwing hard. 95 on that one.
Yeah, there's no more evidence of the Braves trying to pitch Shaw in, tie him up.
Bounced off the plate, and that's foul at third base. Fouled again.
Current owners of the Red Sox have done a great job here at Fenway Park to make constant improvements in it. I mean, it kind of started with those seats above the green monster in left field, but all the other facilities here they've tried to really modernize, add restrooms, add some seats where they can. And that's why even with a product on the field that the 2 or whatever it is of the last 4 years where they finished last, 2 of the last 3, they have just continued to pour into this ballpark.
Yeah, it's an event to come here. Not just to see the game, it's to spend the day at the ballpark.
A great joint.
What a treat for us. We get to start our road trip in Boston. Our next stop is Wrigley.
How about that?
See all the changes that are taking place on Chicago's north side.
That doesn't happen very often, does it?
1 ball, 2 strikes.
If we wrapped up the road trip in New York at the Polo Grounds, now that would really be something.
Hey, we can always, I would say, we can always bring back the memories of Shea.
Yeah.
You know.
Here's a hat for you.
Wow.
Check out her headlights.
Two. It missed. Full count. This is what the Red Sox do. They scrap, they foul pitches off, work the counts. They grind out their at bats. 3-2.
And they've had different hitting coaches along the way too over the last several years. And hitting coach now is Chili Davis. Remember him?
Sure do. What an at bat by Travis Shaw. Look at all the pitches he has seen. He sprays another one out of play.
There's Mr. Davis. He and Jeffrey Leonard formed a pretty good 1-2 punch at one time for the Giants.
Ball 4.
That was the Vulcan.
That was a big league at bat. So Shaw walks for a second time. First pass issued by Gant. And now Brock Holt's the hitter. He's the 9th man to bat in the inning. We saw Brock Holt a couple of years ago here in Boston, and we both had the same reaction. He would be a great National League player. He's played 7 defensive positions and started 7 defensive positions for the Red Sox each of the last 2 years.
That's a utility guy.
Right. Handy Ramirez happily moving to first base. That opened up a spot for Brock Holt to play left. And he pops one out of play foul. It's
You know what? They're late on his fastball.
Yep. 0-2. I sure hope there's a Rawlings factory store close to the ballpark, the way these guys are fouling the ball off. Oh, 2. Jay blocked it. 2-2.
Nice stop. Another long half inning.
Rolled to first and foul.
Got 3 different scoreboards here out in the outfield at Fenway Park, and they're all clean and easy to read. Simple note there on Brock Holt.
And they make the digital graphics look like the old-fashioned scoreboard.
It's not cluttered.
On the monster. Pop fly out of play. I think you made a great point about this ballpark. Built in 1912, or opened in 1912, I should say. It's gone through renovations aplenty over the last 100 years. But all the changes that have been made look like they could have been here 100 years ago.
Yes.
Obviously, the electronics and the signage and the like, and the lights even notwithstanding. But they really have stayed very close to the heritage of what Fenway Park always was. A little pop into left, and that'll be playable for Jeff Rancour. Long, bottom of the second inning. A grand slam by Dustin Pedroia off the pesky pole. Chases Bud Norris, and the Red Sox have a big lead.
Going into the third inning, and you know what? We've seen some action over there already. The Green Monster is what makes Fenway, and I got an inside look at it before the game. You know, they took us back there. They let me actually, you see it right there, hanging the sign for the starting pitcher. And then they let me sign the wall, which was really cool, something that I've always wanted to do. So I had an eventful day before the game, guys.
Nothing quite like it.
Yeah, what a treat for you. That's great.
It was really cool. They were letting me do everything back there, very accommodating, very nice guys working back there.
Is Fenway what you expected it to be, Kelsey?
I think she's thinking about her answer.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I was curious if it's what you expected when you saw the inside of Fenway Park for the first time.
Yeah, you know, because Minute Maid Park has another manual scoreboard that's obviously not the Green Monster, but it's similar. So I've been back in a manual scoreboard before, but it's just cool to see all the operation back there. And I got some pictures holding the Atlanta sign right out front, and I mean, it's just really cool. It's the best view in the house. I was sticking my head right out of that little hole watching the guys warm up.
There you go.
Trying to mess with their heads, screaming at them from in there.
Downstairs for Nick Markakis, 3 balls, no strikes. The experience at Fenway Park is far different than it used to be at the old Boston Garden. If you ever got a chance to go watch the Celtics play at the Garden, the place on television, as Nick takes a 4-pitch walk, looked beautiful on TV. And when Dick Stockton was doing the CBS NBA Game of the Week, you always look in at the beautiful parquet floor of the Boston Garden, and you'd see those championship banners hanging from the rafters. When my first year doing the Orlando Magic games was their expansion year, in '89, and Matt Kukas was the head coach, and I was telling him on the flight up to Boston that I'd never been to the Garden before. And he said, "You've never been to the Garden?" "No, Matty, I haven't." He said, "You're walking in with me." So we walked into the Boston Garden, and my face apparently dropped. I just like, this is it? It was awful. That beautiful parquet floor had gaps in it. It was bolted into the ice for the Bruins. They had screws that bolted the floor to the ice, and that's how it was held in place because the Bruins owned the building. The Celtics were the secondary tenants at the old Garden. But this place is as beautiful in person as it is on television as Castro strikes out. 1-on-1 out, Braves 3rd inning.
The only time I was in the Garden was actually for a hockey game.
Really?
Yeah. We had a day game here, and then the Bruins were playing the Canadiens in playoff hockey. And that was an experience. And I sat right behind a pole, a girder. So I'm watching to the left, then I have to go on the other side of the pole to watch when the puck went to the right end of the rink. And that's the way it went all night. I didn't mind a bit. And what a rowdy crowd it was for that.
And they've got the same kind of sightline issues here. Same at Wrigley Field. But that's the engineering that existed at the time the ballparks were built.
Yeah, there was no cantilever engineering in those days.
Wright's got a big lead. He's up 6-1. We're in the 3rd. No balls, 2 strikes. We know Garcia can hit a fastball. We see nothing but strikes from Wright in his first 2 at-bats.
Hannigan was patting the ground like, keep this one down, even if you bounce it. They wouldn't get him to swing at it. Look at him. See, he's patting the ground. Well, that was just a little bit above where he wanted it. There, you got it.
That's the other thing Bob Uecker said about catching Phil Niekro. He said it was wonderful. He said, I got to talk with all the fans in the front row of the stadium behind home plate because I was back there all the time. Two and 2. And way high, full count. All the way to the backstop, and that's ball 4. So a couple of walks in the 3rd inning puts Braves runners at 1st and 2nd, and Freddie Freeman is up.
Well, that's a quick way to get back in this ball game. We're on some free passes. I mean, you can understand him walking Markakis. He's been in the dugout for about an hour and a half waiting to go back out and pitch again. But no chance for Hannigan there. Ball 4, didn't matter.
He was effectively wild against Houston in his last start. 5 walks, only 4 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Only on 1 unearned run. And as As Joe pointed out earlier, the challenge that you have in facing Stephen Wright, including the run the Braves scored in the second inning today. That's the first and only run he's given up after the first inning all year. So he's going to be wild. Make him pay for it sooner rather than later. Play. Let's take a look at tonight's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light.
Longest streak without a home run upon further review since 1980. Cardinals, Mets, and Mariners had longer streaks than the Braves currently have, although the Mariners was also 15 back in '83.
Back to the mound. Right through a fastball and low to second. And Bogaerts can't find the ball. It drops at his feet. A comebacker to the mound, and the Braves get a huge break. The bases are loaded with one out.
Wright is out of the University of Hawaii. He's from Torrance, California, but he went to Hawaii as a third baseman. So he didn't do a very good job on that comebacker. Another break for Atlanta. Got to make the best of it.
Hannigan knocked it down.
This is kind of like he's kind of like an infielder with 2 out and a runner at second base. You just tell the infielders, knock it down, keep the ball from getting through. That's pretty much where he is.
Jeff didn't want to swing. That cost him a strike. 1-1.
That pitch was up and in, but then came more up and in, almost hit him.
Popped up. Infield fly. So Francoeur is out. Bases still loaded. And here's Mr. 2000, A.J. Pierzynski.
Just joined us. A.J. got his 2000th hit with a single to left. 1 out in the second inning.
Well, let's see if A.J. can rip one down the right field line. And he almost sat down. So he handled that swing and a miss pitch.
48 to go to catch Johnny Bench.
A.J. just got hit by a pitch. He flips the bat away in anger. That'll be a painful RBI as Markakis will come home to score. And the Braves cash in the leadoff walk.
That's a slow walk, too. It hit him and then it hit Hannigan. Well, that's right off the knee. Knuckleball, you don't know where to go. You don't know where to run.
(6-2) now. Here's Kelly Johnson. He had the first Braves RBI.
I'm really glad this is the type game it is tonight and not tomorrow night, because if this were going on tomorrow night, we might miss the game Friday in Chicago.
Yeah, with rush hour by the time we land.
Yeah.
Popped up. Bases loaded, 1 out. Braves hit a couple of pop-ups, get an RBI on a hit batsman, and settle for one in the third inning. It's a 6-2 game at Fenway.
/concerts to get your tickets today. He really is something.
Hey, the Atlanta Hawks are in town.
Hey, we got our pals here. I'm going to telestrate right there. Oh, Gary Lehman, Brandon Culpepper. They're in town to do the Hawks. Probably got a Fenway Frank and soda pop.
Yeah. John Gant back to work, and he delivers a strike. Hey, good luck to the Hawks. They can finish things off with a win here in Boston.
Boy, what a second half they had. All right, clean inning, chance for John Gant to strut his stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
Work a few innings. Remember, he's got that funny 1-2 leg kick. Good breaking ball.
Ryan Hannigan, Jackie Bradley, and Mookie Betts are the first three hitters he'll face. The Braves don't have a 1-2-3 pitched inning yet.
Aaron Blair and Mike Foltynewicz were both scheduled to pitch last Sunday, correct? Blair got called up and pitched at the big league level. Yep. Foltynewicz pitched for Gwinnett. Do we know how Folty did in that outing?
I think he pitched well, but I think he suffered the loss. I'll have to check that for you.
So his turn comes up again Friday. He should be close to getting his strength back after a slow start to spring training because of his rib surgery.
From 0-2 to 3-2. We've seen that a lot tonight. Bud Norris, an inning and a third, 7 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, and a grand slam to Pedroia.
No strikeouts.
To third. Castro's got it. Toss across in time for out number 1. There's some numbers for Tyrell Jenkins and Mike Fultonevich this year with the Gwinnett Braves.
Look at those ERAs. Outstanding. Too many walks for Mike. He's got to cut down on those. Tyrell Jenkins had a really good outing his last time up. I remember that. It was 6 or 6+ shutout innings.
One man I'm excited about is Rio Ruiz.
Yeah.
343 average, 70 at bats, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, 1 error. He's played third base exclusively for the G Braves. One ball, 1 strike for Bradley. That's headed foul.
That home run that Albies hit yesterday was his second professional home run over the fence, and it was the first pitch of the ball game.
Really?
Yeah. Good breaking ball there.
Takes care of Bradley. Gantz retired the first 2 easily here in the Boston third.
A little hop in his step all of a sudden. He's already towing the rubber and wanting to go.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. Got a little rhythm.
One ball, no strikes for Mookie Betts. That's popped up. Nick Markakis comes galloping in right, and he's got it. And very impressive 1-2-3 inning. Braves bat's got to go to work. We're headed to the 4th. Kansas City to see the Braves take on the Royals May 13th through May 15th. Go to Braves.com/road trip for all of the details. And the early season schedule has not been a friend of the Braves. Not making excuses, but think about who the Braves have played. It doesn't get much easier for Atlanta. After this series with the Red Sox, we've got the Cubs, the Mets, the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, then our next road trip at Kansas City, 4 in Pittsburgh, and then 3 in Philadelphia.
It's major leagues, buddy.
Yep. Derek Ibar leads off. 1 ball, no strikes.
Red Sox were talking about how the schedule has been favorable to them, not necessarily about who they've played, but when they've played them. And they were talking about going to Houston and what great weather they had there, but they also caught Houston in a slow start, and their record not a whole lot better than the Braves. And then came to Atlanta for 2 days, and the weather was just spectacular there for 2 days. So they feel like they really were fortunate. They've got the Yankees coming in here Friday for a weekend series, and then go right back out on the road.
Wright delivers a strike. It's 2-2. Swing and a miss. Ball gets away from Hannigan. He's got a fire to first, and the stretch by Ramirez. He can't come up with it, and Ibar will reach after he strikes out. That's number 5 in the strikeout column for Wright. And a pass ball. Look, a knuckleball's a trick pitch. That's what you have to live with when you're a major league manager or pitching coach.
Just like when AJ got hit with a pitch with the bases loaded on a knuckleball that came in and hit him in the knee. Braves got a run last inning without benefit of a hit. Now they got a guy on base after he struck out. Turn it into something.
Stubbs popped out his first time up. His hand came off the bat with that swing. April 10th was the last home run hit by the Braves. And in the batter's box hit against Adam Wainwright. That's fouled at the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boston got 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Single run for the Braves in the second, 1 in the third. Leadoff man on here in the fourth. Swing and a miss. Ibar got a jump as the ball was dropped by Hannigan. Strikeout number 6. But Ibar moves up 90 feet.
Nice ball again, too. Kind of ruined Hannigan's fielding percentage. I was just looking back at the league championship series the Braves played against the Pirates back in 1992. And you might remember Tim Wakefield pitched brilliantly in that series for the Pirates. Braves had taken a 2-0, 2-0 lead, and then Wakefield threw a 5-hitter in Game 3. Came back in Game 6 in Atlanta and got a ton of run support in that one. Won that one 13-4.
Little roller right in front of the plate. Markakis is retired. 2 out.
But the Braves were having such difficulty hitting Tim Wakefield that they actually flew Phil Niekro up to Pittsburgh to throw batting practice.
Really?
He was throwing BP to try to get them more acclimated to a knuckleball. And the real fear that the Braves had, I don't call it fear, but respect they had for Wakefield, was that he pitched Game 6, and some thought Jim Leyland might pitch him in Game 7. instead of Doug Drabek. Well, Drabek pitched that great game. Turned out to be the game where Sid slid, but that's how good Wakefield was how much the Braves were concerned that he might start game 6 and 7.
Here's another indicator of how great Tim Wakefield was. Won 200 games in the major leagues. Did you know he's the 3rd winningest Red Sox pitcher in their history?
No, I didn't know that.
Cy Young is 1st. Roger Clemens is 2nd.
Wow.
That one gets away. Runner to 3rd.
One more.
Yeah.
Come on now. One more.
Hannigan's about to set the major league record for pass balls in 1 inning.
Pass ball got him to 1st. I mean, he's kind of doing goalie stuff. You know, he's trying to butterfly on some knuckle balls.
Well, that's somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah. He was so tired of chasing it. They put out a sign for a breaking ball. give me a chance to catch up.
.3-0 count. So a breaking ball, then a fastball. For Daniel Castro, who's 0 for 2. Bouncing ball toward Bogarts. The Red Sox shortstop makes a smooth play, and that retires the side. We head to the home 4th. 6-2 Red Sox. For the Red Sox, and already he's provided us with the Toyota key play.
Bases loaded. Sliced one down the right field line and hit the screen on the pesky pole. And yes, that's a home run and a grand slam. I understand the big smiles. Pesky pole's only like 295 or something, isn't it?
It's real close.
I mean, it drops straight back.
Right.
But if you're fortunate enough to hook or slice one right around the pole, it doesn't have to go very far.
It's funny, they call it the pesky pole. How many home runs Johnny Pesky hit in the major leagues?
No.
17. In 1,270 career games.
Well, maybe he hit a few of them around the pole.
Johnny Pesky was a manager here with the Red Sox. He was the first big league player to have 200 hits or more in his first 3 seasons with the Red Sox, as Gant takes care of Pedroia. Second strikeout for John.
Number 2,
Bogaerts.
Nice job by John Gant.
The right field foul pole was officially dedicated as the pesky pole on September 27th, 2006. You played it
Officially, but when we always knew it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You played
that.
a lot in the American League.
Yeah.
They always called it that here, right?
As far back as I remember.
Fouled away by Bogaerts, who will score a run tonight.
The left field wall, the materials on it have changed over the years, so the way the ball would bounce off the green monster changed from time to time. You can see that the advertising in the scoreboard runs the length of it. That was not always the case.
Ball's 37 feet high, 211 feet long. And was originally built to keep non-paying fans from being able to see the ball game. And that ladder used to be a useful ladder.
That's correct.
That's high and tight. Bogaerts takes a walk. Second one issued by Gant.
As you might expect, when there was just a screen up there above the green monster, it caught a lot of batting practice home run balls, not to mention game home run balls, but they needed that ladder to go up there and retrieve the baseballs out of the netting.
Now, did you ever play a game where the ball ricocheted off the ladder at Fenway Park?
I don't remember one doing that.
I'd like to be tracking the ball as an outfielder, ready to play the bounce, and then it clangs off that thing. Ortiz strokes one to center. Stubbs as far as he can go. That ball's high off the wall. Here comes Bogaerts around third. He will score. David Ortiz has 3 doubles. And at this pace, I might join him.
Tell you what, he has really hit the ball hard 3 times, too. There's a line at the end of the green monster, a yellow line. If you hit the ball to the left or left of it, it's in play. If you hit it to the right of it, it's a home run. And it was going right at that yellow line and hit right below it, I believe, right at the 379 mark. And it hit just below that, just to the right of the scoreboard. And that may be what the Red Sox are debating. John Farrell thinks it may have been a home run.
So this will be a boundary call review. Let's see. Ooh, wow.
That is right at the bottom of the yellow line, though. Obviously, it hit and carried over that. It's going to be a homer.
So Kerwin Danley and Joe West talking it over. They say, all right, let's go ahead and take a look. I mean, if you want to talk about a ball hitting in no man's land as far as the home run or double is concerned, I mean, he couldn't have placed the ball any better than where he hit it.
These Red Sox players know their own park so well, just like Bogaerts, who was on the walk. He's running and watching Drew Stubbs, and as soon as Stubbs turns his back to the infield, he knows it's over his head and off the wall somewhere at the very least. So he scored easily. Again, this is a close-up view. And they are going to maintain that it was a double. I think that is the correct call.
So that's a crew chief review. David Ortiz with 3 two-base hits in the game and 2 RBIs drives home Xander Bogaerts to extend the Red Sox lead to 7-2.
16th RBI for Big Papi.
Here's Hanley Ramirez. Sounds funny to say still, the Red Sox first baseman. Has an RBI hit tonight. He hasn't been tested defensively yet in the series. Remember, he didn't start one of the games down in Atlanta. But the Red Sox have said he's been very, very good at first base. That's a little low. Ball 2. He was right on it. Two balls and a strike. Now 2-2. Comfortable night in Boston. The wind has been blowing out most of the game. The wind's picked up again. It's blowing straight out towards center field. Red Sox have 7 runs on 8 hits. And a swing and a miss. Gant with a nice breaking pitch earns his 3rd strikeout. And that'll bring up Travis Shaw, who's walked twice.
Wasn't the double by Ortiz that will stick out, but the 1-out walk to Bogaerts when he was nowhere near the plate and put him on in front of the double.
Pitch over the corner inside, strike 1 from Gant. Ripped into right center field. That'll get down. Ortiz can walk home. Shaw around second. He's headed for third. Relay throw will be way too late. First career triple for Shaw, and he has worn out the Braves. That's 6 RBIs against Atlanta.
Gives him 15. Looked like he went out around a pitch, threw some top hand on it, kind of hooked it. Oh my goodness, down and away. Guy combed that with some authority.
A strike to Brock Holt. fly to right. Markakis drifts back. Backpedals onto the warning track. And makes the grab in front of the Boston bullpen. Red Sox score twice in the fourth. 8-2 your score. Fifth inning, it's time for tonight's Chevrolet game summary. Unfortunately, it's the Red Sox jumping out with a big night offensively.
Yeah, it is, with Dustin Pedroia's grand slam and Big Papi's 3 doubles. But the highlight for the Braves is A.J. Pierzynski's 2,000th hit. Came in his first at bat in the second inning. Clean single to left. So congratulations to A.J. on that milestone.
Right back to work with a 6-run lead. Adonis Garcia starts things off for the Braves. He's struck out and he's walked. Popped up. Bradley in center. And he makes the catch for the first out. That'll bring up Freddie Freeman. The Braves first baseman has a double. And he reached on a fielder's choice. Slowly but surely, Freddie's average is climbing. Now at 211. He takes a shot at the monster, but Holt is there on the grass. He's got it. Quickly 2 out. And Jeff Rancour steps in. Jeff struck out and popped out.
Talking to Tom Glavine last night about his favorite players for the Red Sox when he was a kid growing up here, and he said, of course, Yaz was everybody's favorite when Tom was a young guy here, and I'm not sure anyone's ever played left field as well as Yastrzemski played this green monster here during his time, the Hall of Famer. And speaking of a guy who knows his ballpark, my recollection is that he played real shallow too. He would take away a line drive hit from you, knowing that the worst that was going to happen is if you hit the ball over his head, you got a double. And chances were good, even if he's standing at the base of the wall and it hits off the wall, it's going to be a double.
Carl Yastrzemski A .285 lifetime hitter, 3,400 big league hits.
3,500?
34.
34?
34-19 to be
Wow.
exact. He was the first American League player with 400 homers and 3,000 hits. He was later joined in that category by Cal Ripken Jr.
Didn't he win the Triple Crown by hitting .301?
Yeah, I think that was 60. Was that 67?
68?
Right before, it was before they lowered the mound.
Yeah, that I think it was that year. 67, maybe you're right.
67 or 68.
Won the batting title with a .301 average.
Frenchie pops it up. Bogaerts drifts back. He says he's got it. He does. And it's a perfect fit for right.
At the Green Monster, so I thought, I'm here. You know, why not get a different view? So they have these seats on top of the Green Monster that I came and sat at. These were actually installed in 2003, and it was David Ortiz's first season here in Boston. And if you can see down on the Green Monster, there's dents in here. A lot of the players call it the golf ball because so many balls, whether it's from BP or in-game, we've seen plenty over here tonight, bumping against the wall over here, causing all these dents. But it's a really cool view up here. You can really see it all.
I would say that would definitely be the catbird seat up there, Kelsey.
It's cold though. The wind is rough up here, but it is a great view. Some nice people up here. They got some food, and you, like I said, you can see the whole field from here. So it's awesome.
We got your pun. That's why you said it was a cool seat.
And I got a pretzel, so I'm set.
Oh yeah.
I told you, where there's food, there is Kelsey. I found the food.
Have you had the chowder yet here?
I have not. Somebody did tell me to get the chowder.
Yeah, you gotta have the chowder.
Is it at the park? Can I get it here?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's my next mission.
You know, the Braves sideline reporters have a great tradition of eating on the air, so we need to let you know that that's part of the job description.
That's me, though. First day on the job, I volunteered to eat all of the new concession foods.
A lot of pressure. Hey.
So John Gant to work. And that's the view from Kelsey's vantage point, high above the Green Monster seats. Just missed to Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan has singled and scored in 2 trips. Boston scored in every inning but 1 tonight. We're talking about Carl Yastrzemski before we went to break, and Joe, you're right on top of it. He has won the Triple Crown in 1967 for the Red Sox, and then in '68 won the batting title with a .301 average. That was the year that Denny McLain won 30 games for the Detroit Tigers. And in the National League, Bob Gibson finished the season for the Cardinals with a .112 earned run average. The next year they lowered the mound in baseball's attempt to spur more offense.
And it did help.
Hannigan is down on strikes. Gant gets the first here in the Boston fifth. John struck out 4.
And giving the Braves bullpen exactly what it needed, and that is a break. And of course, with the DH, the pitcher's spot doesn't come around to hit where you might pinch hit for him. So as long as he feels good and doesn't overextend himself, he'll keep working.
Here's Bradley, and he takes a strike. I remember watching Carl Yastrzemski as a kid. The one Red Sox player I wish I'd been able to see was Ted Williams. What an incredible hitter Ted was, and a true American hero.
You bet. Decorated hero.
A base hit the other way by Bradley. He beats the shift. And Bradley with a big turnaround first will head back with a 1-out single. Ted Williams, of course, hit .406 in 1941. Finished his major league career with a .344 lifetime batting average. But because of 2 combat tours in World War II and Korea, Ted Williams did not finish with 3,000 hits. 2,654 hits for Ted Williams, who had 521 homers. Almost certainly would have gotten to the 3,000 hits, and there's some who speculate he might have been the first guy to 700 home runs. Had
right
in the Red Sox uniform, that is.
There was always that, and always has been, that big argument between Yankee fans and Red Sox fans too, between Williams and DiMaggio in 1941. That was DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, and he won the MVP award over a guy that hit 400.
Yeah. There was a rumor, and I think it's been substantiated, that the owner of the Yankees and the owner of the Red Sox actually discussed trading straight up Ted Williams for Joe DiMaggio. And the thinking was Ted Williams hitting at Yankee Stadium and Joe DiMaggio hitting here, the huge numbers that they would be able to put up for their respective clubs. And they apparently had agreed to the terms of the trade and had written them out on a cocktail napkin, which probably gives you an idea of where the
and why they were thinking that.
The genesis of the trade. And they shook hands and said, well, let's sleep on it. Well, they woke up, looked at the napkin, talked it over, and said, no, we can't make that deal. And the rest, they say, is history. Two on for Dustin Pedroia, who hit a home run off the pesky pole, off the screen of the pesky pole. That was in the second inning. Another fact about Ted Williams I wasn't aware of. At the age of 39 in 1957, he won the batting title.
Is that right?
He hit .388 at age 39.
So A.J. Brzezinski's got a goal.
So you're saying he's got a chance. Ted Williams, of course, went on to become a major league manager, the Washington Senators, and then Texas Rangers. And his number 9 retired here in Boston as well. Bouncing ball to Freeman. He'll go to second for one. Ibar with some slick footwork completes the turn and can't cover the bag.
That was not easy because Ibar had a mile to go just to get to the bag and take the throw.
That was a real pretty play and a nice way to end the Boston fifth. We head to inning number 6 in Boston. Time for our State Farm instant replay.
Yeah, if you missed it, second inning. There's hit number 2,000 for A.J. Brzezinski. And happened on the road, so the only real clapping and cheering came from his own dugout. And from the booth, of course.
Yes. So right back to work. He's only given up 3 hits tonight. Brewers have had a lot of base runners. But they've scored just 2 runs.
Well, and all 3 hits were in the second inning.
That's ruled foul.
They got a run without a hit in the 3rd inning. On 2 walks, a hit batter, well, 2 walks, an error, and then a hit batter. It was A.J.
He took a shot at left field, but Shaw was right there for out number 1. Here's Kelly Johnson, Braves second baseman tonight, 1 for 2 with an RBI. Kelly with 4 driven in on the year. I hope Kelly has a very big man cave at his house for all the jerseys he's been able to wear in the major leagues.
I could wallpaper his house.
And he's got the AL East covered. He was a Red Sox in 2014. A grand total of 10 games.
Hey, I need to take care of some business here. I messed up yesterday. I want to send out a day late birthday greeting to Ruth Reed in Greenville, South Carolina, who turned 95 yesterday. Loves the Braves, listens on TV daily, watches the games.
That's hit deep to left, and Brock Holt makes a fine running grab. And he took some punishment slamming into that manual scoreboard. There's no padding on that baby.
No, sir. Kelly put a charge in this one. Nice play. But I apologize for the belated birthday greeting, Mrs. Ruth Reed. She was on the faculty at Furman for 30 years and loves Jeff Francoeur. So happy birthday, happy 95th.
Amen. That's great. As Eric Ibar bats. His most eventful at bat for Eric in the 4th inning. He reached first on a strikeout and a pass ball. That was the first of 3 pass balls in that 4th inning. You know what the major league record for pass balls in an inning is?
No.
4 by Ryan Lavarnway.
Is that right?
It was
off of Wakefield.
Tim Wakefield.
Yeah.
Yep. Ryan's catching for the Braves down in Gwinnett. And Gwinnett's winning tonight 5-1 over Toledo. That's upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Eric Ibar. Another shot to the left side. Shaw to his right. Spears that. And all of a sudden, Stephen Wright is settling in. He's retired 9 in a row. Matt Harvey pitching for New York tonight. John Moscote going for the Reds. Mets have beaten Cincinnati 10 straight times. So we'll see how that one finishes up. Here it's all Red Sox. They scored 2 more first inning runs. They scored 4 in the second on a Pedroia grand slam. 2 more runs in the fourth. And now they face John Gant here in the 6th. Broken bat out to second. Tricky hop handled by Kelly. And he makes the play for the first out.
John gave up those 2 runs in the 4th inning on the walk, double, and triple. But otherwise, he's pitched good baseball. Got a double play last inning. He struck out 4. And only in the American League can a reliever come in and throw 71 pitches at this time. Typically in the National League, you get pinch hit for before that.
David Ortiz with 3 two-base hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. David Ortiz was originally a Seattle Mariner. Talked about this the other night back in Atlanta. He was known as David Arias back then. Was traded to the Twins for Dave Hollins. And then in 2002, he had a 20 homer, 75 RBI season and was released because no one would trade for David Ortiz. Believe it or not, he was a free agent. Twins let him hit the market. Oh, Red Sox signed him.
That worked out all right.
As this one's grounded to first, Freeman will take care of Big Papi for the second out. Carl Yastrzemski said of David Ortiz, quote, "I would say as a hitter, he's right next to Ted Williams," end quote.
Goodness, especially in the clutch category. He's been great in that area. His first double tonight gave him 593, and that gave him sole possession of 16th place all time in doubles. He had been tied with Todd Helton.
Ramirez takes a ball.
But he also, with the 3 doubles tonight, that gives him 1,119 career extra base hits. And he has passed Ted Williams and Jimmy Fox for 17th place all time in extra base hits.
So you start passing names like that, the inevitable question is, are we talking Cooperstown for David Ortiz in 5 years?
I think quite possibly.
As a National League fan and National League purists, I think, have a difficult time wrapping their heads around designated hitters being Hall of Fame players. They don't play a defensive position.
That will be a big hurdle, I'll call it, for the writers to look past. But there have been a lot of people lobbying for Edgar Martinez for years too, former Mariner who had Hall of Fame credentials as a DH.
In fact, the best hitting DH in the American League wins what's called the Edgar Martinez Award.
That's correct.
I wonder if the first DH is watching the game tonight. Ron Blomberg lives in Roswell. As that ball is lined out of play, foul by Hanley Ramirez. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Well, you start talking about 500 homers, you start talking about 1,000 doubles, things like that. 3 world championships. As this one's hit toward third, Castro had a little trouble, but he stayed with it, made the play. I think David Ortiz is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is beloved in Boston as the Red Sox are rolling 8-2 here at Fenway Park.
Holtz and Andrew Jones into the Braves Hall of Fame at a luncheon on Friday, August 19th. Be sure to get your tickets before they're all gone. All guests are guaranteed to sit with a current or former Braves player, coach, alumni, or Hall of Fame member. Call 404-614-2310 for more information or to order your tickets today.
Chris Young takes over for the Red Sox. He's in right as Drew Stubbs leads off the 7th. The Braves are looking for their first hit since the 2nd inning. They've had 5 base runners, but none since the 4th.
This guy Wright was on his way last year. He was beginning to settle in, take a spot in the rotation after working a lot out of the bullpen. When he was running sprints in the outfield, doing his running before or during batting practice and was hit in the head with a ball, the fly ball, and suffered a concussion. And that was in August, and he didn't pitch the rest of the year as he fought concussion-like symptoms the rest of the season.
What are the odds of that?
Especially when at that time he was 30 years old and he had finally gotten here and he had finally started to pitch well, and then zap.
And he just struck out Stubbs. That's strikeout number 7. And that's an underreported story about this Red Sox pitching staff. Entering tonight's play, their 210 strikeouts through 20 games was the most in baseball history since 1900. And they've got 7 more tonight after David Price struck out 14 in Atlanta yesterday. Markakis sprays one out of play, foul.
I was talking to Nick before the game about this ballpark, and the dugouts are so far from home plate. I said, man, that is a long walk back to the dugout after a strikeout. He said, not only that, as Holt flags down another one. He said the worst is when you're playing right field and like Big Poppy hits a drive into the corner down there and you catch it for the 3rd out of the inning, and then you have to run in because you're leading off the next inning, and by the time you get in, get your bat and your helmet, you're coming out of the dugout, they're already throwing the ball down to second base and you're having to scramble to get to the plate. Hard to catch your breath.
Castro hits. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Wright wasn't happy with that pitch. There's action in the Boston bullpen as Castro's going to take a walk. That's 3 free passes issued by the knuckleballer for the Red Sox. And that'll bring up Adonis Garcia, the DH tonight. Carl Willis, the pitching coach, is on his way out. Give the bullpen a little more time to loosen up.
It was Tommy Lane loosening up. He's thrown 111 pitches so far. Wright has. And again, as you know by now, if you've watched baseball much and seen knuckleballers, that's not many.
Well, and you said he was pitching out of the bullpen, right?
Yes.
Think about what situations he might be called upon to pitch as a relief pitcher with the unpredictability of a knuckleball.
Oh, Chip.
How does that work?
Chip, when I was breaking in with the Dodgers, Charlie Huff was the closer for a time for the Dodgers. Talk about that with runner at third, let's say.
Yeah.
And the game on the line. Mercy.
And all that foul territory behind the plate at Dodger Stadium.
Steve Yeager, Joe Ferguson. They had, it was all on them to make sure the ball didn't get by him, but it always was just a panic that he could throw a great knuckleball and you blow the lead or lose the game.
So walking a very narrow line. Wright starting tonight, and he's been very impressive. Tim Wakefield like. I mean, we've talked about Tim a lot tonight.
He's a big guy like Wakefield too. He's 6'2", 215.
And that takes care of Garcia, who has not enjoyed his time against the knuckleball. 7th inning stretch at Fenway Park. After the game on Braves Live, we'll recap all of tonight's series opening action with the Red Sox from Fenway Park. We'll check in with Freddie Gonzalez, and Kelsey will head into the clubhouse to interview the players after Game 3 of this series with the Red Sox on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. Hunter Cervenka is on to pitch for the Braves. Gant did a nice job in long relief after Bud Norris lasted but an inning and a third. And he's got a tough hombre to face in the Red Sox seventh. Travis Shaw has absolutely torn up Braves pitching in the first 3 games of this series. And he's our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot.
Last 7 games, which was pretty much their road trip, plus tonight, .333 average, 8 RBIs. Getting hot at a good time for the Red Sox. Hunter Cervenka's been outstanding too since he got called up. Has not allowed a run in 5 total innings over 8 outings.
Gant went 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. That one headed for the seats. When do they do Sweet Caroline? And is that 8th inning?
Going to the maybe this next half inning.
Yeah. Okay. Thought maybe they changed things up here or something. So look forward to that. No balls, 2 strikes, and out of play.
Cervenka went through a stretch where he walked 1 batter in 4 straight outings, which was not endearing himself to the coaching staff because it was typically in kind of tight situations where they needed an out against a left-handed hitter. But he's only given up 1 hit in 5 innings and struck out 6.
It's funny how a roster usually resolves itself. There was so much concern for the Braves at the final 2-week mark of spring training about left-handed relief and how the Braves were going to open the season. Would they even have a lefty in the bullpen, which was something Freddie Gonzalez didn't really want to have to do, but would have if necessary. Well, the Braves made the deal with the Pirates to get Eric O'Flaherty, and Hunter Cervenka was a guy that would just be called up from a minor league game to pitch. And the more the Braves saw him, the more they liked him, because he can do that to left-handed hitters. Got Shaw, who's retired for the first time tonight.
Made him look bad too. He got able to chase some bad pitches in this sequence, including that one. A lot of cutters and a curveball for Hunter.
Brock Holtz 0 for 3. On a corner, that'll work. 1 ball, 1 strike. You know, this is a special outing for Hunter Cervenka. He was originally a Boston Red Sox draft pick.
Was he?
27th round in 2008. The Cubs acquired him in May of 2012 as the player to be named later in the trade that sent Michael Bowden to the Cubs and Marlon Byrd and cash to the Red Sox. Kind of stalled at AA Tennessee for parts of 3 seasons. Then went to AAA and got blasted in 12 games and was released. And as Joe's told you a couple of times, played in the independent leagues with the Sugarland Skeeters before the Braves picked him up. And all Cervenka did since putting on a Braves uniform is allow 0 earned runs in 20 2/3 minor league innings coming into this year. Swing and a miss. Another feeble swing, this one by Brock Holt. And 2 men are out.
And I think both strikeouts have come on cutters. They look like sliders, but they're really cutters that are moving a lot. That might have actually been a slider.
Well, it's slud.
Or his curveball.
Here's Hannigan. He'll be spending some time in the whirlpool after this one. He's been working overtime behind the plate.
Mostly on his left shoulder socket from lunging for balls and catching the knuckleball and just having it almost take him to the backstop.
And Cervenka gets the Boston catcher, and we head to the 8th inning. It's 8-2, Red Sox in front.
Atlanta Braves Baseball is sponsored by your local Toyota dealers, Let's Go Places, the Georgia Lottery, and Synovus, the bank of here.
8-2 is your score as we head to the 8th inning. Let's take a look at tonight's Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. The Braves historically have had good luck here in Boston.
Yeah, 17-14 since 1997 here at this ballpark. We'll have to rally tonight to add to that. They're down 8-2, and Red Sox are making a pitching change. That's Tommy Lane, 6'2", 195, 31 years old. There are his numbers for the year. Last year, he had the 4th best average in the American League against left-handed hitters, a 148 average, and gave up only 2 extra base hits to him all year long. Out of Mount Olive College in North Carolina. St. Louis, hometown. Zumwalt High School.
St. Charles.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Suburb of St. Louis. That's a St. Louis question, you know. Meet someone from St. Louis.
That's why I fired it at you.
What high school did you go to?
Followed by, what's your sign?
Yes, yes. And Lane with a herky-jerky delivery. This is outside to Freddie Freeman. New pitcher means a new catcher's mitt for Ryan Hannigan. Gone is the big waffle-like first baseman's mitt for the knuckleball. He's got a standard glove on now.
He might fall asleep back there right now.
Rifled foul.
He should actually stay in his catcher's crouch and just put down a sign, put up the target.
Swing and a high fly ball, deep right field. It might be. It could be. It is. Holy cow. I had to break it out. Finally.
Heck yeah.
The Braves' home run drought is over.
And a no doubter. Off the lefty that didn't give up anything last year to left-handed hitters.
563 at bats between homers for the Braves. That comes to an end in Boston. And it's off the bat of Freddie Freeman, who has 2 extra base hits. And now a shot toward right again. A nice running catch. Chris Young hauls it in for the first out. So it's an 8-3 game. And here's A.J. Pierzynski. So it's been a night of a couple of offensive milestones. I mentioned A.J.'s 2000th hit a couple of times tonight. A.J. also with an RBI. And a strike. Up the middle, but they had A.J. played perfectly. And Pierzynski's retired. And Kelly Johnson's the batter. Kelly's got a hit in 3 tries.
And look at the arm angle on Lane. Might have been a little more over the top than the pitch he just threw to A.J. Pierzynski. That ball got out of here in a hurry.
It went a long way, too. I mean, as you said, it's 380 to right. Out by that triangle, it's 420. So I'm guessing 400 feet to the back of the bullpens. And he launched it out there on a cold night. So Freddie Freeman with his 2nd home run. Makes it an 8-3 score. 3 runs on 4 hits for the Braves. That hit, by the way, their first since the 2nd inning.
And ding dong, the homeless streak is dead.
563 at bats. One ball, 2 strikes for Kelly Johnson. And a swing and a miss. Will retire the side. No doubter home run for Freddie Freeman, his first since opening day, and off a tough left-hander. Ding dong, that long streak is dead. It's 8-3 Boston. Sweet Caroline. We'll be hearing that song again tomorrow night. Final game of the season between the Braves and Red Sox. Our coverage starts at 6:30 Eastern on Fox Sports South, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. It's April in the ATL, presented by Cook's Pest Control. Julius Chassin will take the ball for the Bravos.
Jason Grilli takes the ball here for the Braves in the 8th.
He's got the 9-1 and 2 hitters up for Boston. And he's greeted with a line drive to second. Kelly Johnson to his right makes the play, and Bradley's out number 1.
Jason seems to be getting back on track after some rough outings. His last 2 appearances against the Mets, an inning apiece, 1 hit, no runs or walks with a strikeout.
This is Chris Young. Young at 182. Fly ball to left. 2 outs. I like Jason's efficiency.
Yes.
2 pitches, 2 outs. And here's Pedroia. A 2nd inning grand slam off Bud Norris busted the game open for Boston. They led 2-1 when he went deep. Actually, when he didn't go exactly deep. But he hit it in the right spot of the ballpark.
He sure did.
Announced attendance tonight, 33,380. It's a beautiful day in Boston. A chilly, breezy night at Fenway Park. We should have nice weather for game 4 of the series here tomorrow evening. Clay Buchholz will get the ball for the Red Sox, by the way.
And he has really struggled.
And 1 for Pedroia. He was thinking about another home run and didn't get it.
It's funny how when you overswing like that, it slows you down and makes you late. Fastball up and in. He had no chance to catch up with that long swing.
Popped up third base side. AJ and Castro look at each other. The ball bounces on the warning track.
Going to be a tough play for AJ, but he was the closest one to it. Neither guy called it. Castro may have quit on it a little too soon, thinking AJ was under it. He couldn't tell, but didn't look pretty at all.
So a swing on the house for Pedroia. And he rips Rips one off the monster and above the monster.
Of course. Again, we keep talking about the way things are going for the Atlanta Braves. There's another sign. Pop-up that should have been caught to end the inning. And he is somehow able to reach down and get that slider and just clear the fence.
9-3 Red Sox.
Pretty big night for Mr. Pedroia.
Yeah, wouldn't you say? 2 homers, 5 RBIs for him. 7th 2-homer game in Pedroia's career. Well, there's been a theme that we have talked about consistently since the first pitch of the year is the need for the Braves to catch the baseball. When they don't make plays that they should make, they've paid a very heavy price.
It always seems to come back and bite them.
While that won't be charged an error on the official score, that was obviously a play that had to be made. The inning would have been over. That forces more pitches for Grilli. And instead of a clean inning, he's given up a run. Three balls, 1 strike. Phillies are winning again tonight. They're beating Gio Gonzalez and the Nationals. Games in the 8th inning. Bogarts walks. 5-2 Mets lead the Reds. That game's in the 8th inning in New York. Pirates won, Colorado nothing in the 3rd. Earlier today, the Giants beat San Diego 13-9 at AT&T Park.
The ball must have been jumping.
So another at bat for David Ortiz. Shift on for Atlanta. 3 doubles, 2 runs, 2 RBIs for Big Papi. And he takes a shot toward left. This one's going to be caught. And that will retire the side. We head to the 9th inning. 9-3 Red Sox. Top moments in the history of Turner Field. Tonight it's Game 2 of the 2005 Division Series against the Astros. Brian McCann's first career playoff at bat turns into a 3-run homer off Roger Clemens. The Braves scored 5 times off the Rocket and won 7-1 in Game 2. How young Brian McCann looked back then.
Baby McCann.
Here's to 20 years, brought to you by Synovus, the bank of here. Josh Rutledge has checked in for Pedroia. And Boston goes to the bullpen yet again.
And that is Matt Barnes making his 9th appearance. 12 strikeouts in 10+ innings. And this guy can bring it. 96+ with a curve and a change.
Barnes will face Ibar, Stubbs, and Markakis in the 9th. 9-3, Red Sox lead it. And his first in there at 97. Barnes was a starting pitcher in the minor leagues. Started a couple of games last year for the Red Sox, but working out of the bullpen now. Bethel, Connecticut. Look out.
Screen saved him again.
Thank you. Barnes, a college pitcher, went to UConn. Stubbs almost got picked off by that foul ball. Don't forget to stay tuned for Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. That follows Game 3 here in Boston, where the Red Sox have gotten a huge night from Dustin Pedroia and a big night from David Ortiz too.
He's getting closer to the foul line.
Swing and a miss. Ibar is struck out. And there's the first out here in the top of the 9th.
Good day yesterday for Ibar. Kind of snapped out of it. 2 hits, a run scored, but tonight an 0 for 4 and 3 punch outs.
Yeah, 10 more strikeouts for the Red Sox staff in this game. Here's Stubbs, who's been struck out twice. He has an 0 for 3 night. Braves couldn't solve Stephen Wright. They did touch him for a run in the 2nd inning to cut the Boston lead to 2-1, but the Pedroia grand slam put it out of reach. Braves went hitless from the 2nd inning of this game until the 8th, when Freddie Freeman hit a home run off Lane. Follow Braves baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
Connecticut University has a pretty darn good athletic department, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
They've had good football teams in recent years. They obviously have good basketball, both men and the juggernaut women's team. And a good baseball program too.
Right back where it came from. And Barnes Had to jump out of the way. That ball was whistled right back through the middle.
Even with the pirouette that went through his legs.
Markakis looks for his first hit of the game. And a good rip. Bad weather in Chicago tonight postponed the Brewers and the Cubs. That was supposed to be Jake Arrieta's start. We're talking about 37-degree rain, wind, just nasty weather in Chicago. Hopefully that'll move out before we get to town in the early hours on Friday morning.
It's either that or the Brewers got out there early and turned the sprinklers on.
Can't say I blame them if they did.
No.
All Arrieta has done is throw 24 consecutive quality starts. He's gone 20-1 in that stretch. And he's 4-0 this year. The Braves will miss him in Chicago. The rotation lines up. It'll be Blair, Tehran, and Whistler for the Braves. Lackey, Hamill, and Hendricks for the Cubs.
By the way, Jason Hamill's 3-0 with a sub-1 ERA. Nobody's noticing.
2 balls and a strike. And that's headed for the corner. Holt on the run, leaps and didn't have to. Ball dropped safely, and streaking around third is Stubbs. He's going to come home, and the throw's off target. It's a double for Nick Markakis, and the Braves tack on a 9th inning run. It's 9-4 now.
And another double for Markakis. See what happened out there. He just misjudged it a little bit. He's made some good plays in left field against the wall tonight. Had more room perhaps than he thought.
That's 10 doubles for Markakis now. Nick had 38 doubles for the Braves last year. To third. Shaw's got it. And his throw to first in time. There's the second out. The Kroger 4-game plan is a great way to see your Braves during this historic final season at Turner Field. Save off the regular game price and custom build your 4-game plan or pick a popular one like the bobblehead, Friday night fireworks, or Sunday Kids Day plans today by visiting braves.com/4game.
Given a choice of a 75-mile-an-hour knuckleball or 97-mile-an-hour gas, I promise you Garcia would rather see the fastball.
Ordonez struck out twice, walked once, and flied out in his matchups with Stephen Wright. Rocketed out toward Rutledge at second, And that's going to end the ball game. The Red Sox got a grand slam from Dustin Pedroia, 3 doubles from David Ortiz, and Stephen Wright with 7 innings of 3-hit ball extend the Braves' losing streak to 8 consecutive games. Final score tonight, Red Sox 9, Braves 4. Joe and I will be back to Fenway to recap it for you right after this.